Have you ever found yourself lying awake at night, replaying moments, conversations, and memories over and over in your mind, wondering why you can't just move on? That aching feeling in your chest, that whisper in your soul that says, "I'll never be the same without them," is not just heartbreak. It's a reflection of something deeper. It's a reminder from your own heart that some connections leave marks far beyond the physical presence of a person. The truth is, the struggle to let go isn't always about what the other person did or didn't do. Sometimes it's about what Allah is trying to teach you through that attachment. Let's begin by gently exploring the heart of the matter. The difference between attachment and true love. Many of us confuse the two, thinking that holding on tightly, feeling incomplete without someone, or clinging to their presence is love. But in reality, attachment is often rooted in neediness, desire, or dependency. It thrives on what the other person provides, comfort, identity, validation, rather than on the pure essence of love itself. True love, the kind that Islam teaches us, is different. It is patient, selfless, and free from the chains of expectation. Attachment, by its very nature, is fragile. It creates a false sense of security because it relies on something external to the heart. When the person you're attached to leaves, whether physically, emotionally, or spiritually, the attachment feels like it shatters your soul. That's why moving on feels almost impossible. Your heart has invested in someone as the source of your happiness, and now it must confront the reality that your peace cannot depend solely on them. This is the first insight: attachment is never sustainable because it is rooted outside of Allah, outside the one who alone is constant, infinite, and unchanging. True love, in contrast, uplifts, frees, and strengthens. When love is rooted in Allah's guidance, it becomes a source of blessing rather than a burden. You can care deeply for someone, cherish them, and even grieve their absence, but without being enslaved by their presence. Love transforms your heart while attachment often traps it. Islam teaches us that our relationships should reflect mercy, respect, and growth, qualities that attachment cannot always provide. A love that restricts your faith, stifles your growth, or weighs your heart down is attachment in disguise. Consider this: every time we struggle to let go of someone, it is a moment to reflect. Are we loving the person, or are we simply clinging to what they give us? True love is liberating. It does not demand constant presence or endless affirmation. It allows the heart to breathe, to trust in Allah, and to release control. When we cannot move on, it is often because we have mistaken attachment for love, and our hearts are learning a necessary lesson. Pain, in this context, is not punishment, it is education. And here is the subtle wisdom: attachment often exposes what your heart values most, revealing areas where you have relied on someone more than on Allah. This awareness is painful but transformative. Islam encourages us to realign our hearts, to nurture a love for Allah that transcends any human relationship. In doing so, we begin to understand that every person who leaves our life, every relationship that ends, is an opportunity for the heart to purify itself, to refocus on what is eternal, and to embrace a love that is unconditional, compassionate, and freeing. Finally, when you begin to distinguish attachment from true love, you start seeing endings differently. They are no longer failures or losses, but lessons and divine interventions. They are moments in which Allah removes what is not meant to remain, protecting your heart from harm and guiding you toward growth. The journey of moving on becomes less about pain and more about transformation, a journey from dependency to trust, from clinging to surrender, and from despair to peace. Understanding this difference is crucial because it forms the foundation for emotional and spiritual healing. The heart that learns to recognize attachment versus love begins to navigate relationships with clarity, wisdom, and patience. And in this understanding, you find not only relief from lingering pain, but also the ability to embrace life's changes with serenity. knowing that Allah's wisdom always surpasses our limited perspective. Now, let's gently reflect on the heart of the struggle. Why moving on feels so impossible. Many of us blame the person who left or the circumstances surrounding our loss, but the truth often lies deeper, within the way our hearts are attached. The human heart is naturally drawn to comfort, familiarity, and connection. When someone leaves our life, the heart feels an emptiness it doesn't yet know how to fill, and this emptiness is amplified if we've placed our sense of security, identity, or happiness in that person rather than in Allah. One key reason we cannot move on is because our hearts are still holding on to what we wish had been rather than what is. We replay memories, imagine conversations, and dwell on possibilities that never came to pass. This mental and emotional looping keeps us tethered, as if trying to hold on to something that was never meant to remain. Islam teaches us that the heart is a sacred vessel, and part of spiritual growth is learning to release what no longer serves our soul. Clinging to what has left prevents our hearts from maturing, and the pain of separation is Allah's gentle, though firm, way of redirecting us toward what is truly good for us. Another reason we struggle is that letting go requires trust. Trust that Allah's plan is greater than our understanding. When someone departs, we instinctively fear that we will never be whole again or that happiness is lost forever. This fear is a signal that our reliance is misaligned. The heart has depended on the person rather than on the divine, and moving on demands a reorientation of trust. We learn, slowly and sometimes painfully, that only Allah can fulfill the deepest longings of our heart. The moment we place Him at the center, our attachment to the temporary begins to loosen, and true healing begins. Additionally, we often resist moving on because we haven't fully processed the emotions involved. Grief, disappointment, and heartbreak are not meant to be ignored or suppressed. They are signals from our heart inviting us to reflect, feel, and surrender. Islam encourages this reflection, reminding us that emotional experiences are part of the human journey and that expressing them through prayer, dhikr, and contemplation helps release their hold over us. By avoiding the discomfort, we prolong the struggle, keeping the heart tied to what has passed instead of opening to what Allah intends to bring. Sometimes, the inability to move on is connected to identity. We have woven the presence of someone else so tightly into our life story that their absence feels like a loss of self. But the reality is that our identity is never found in another human being. It is found in our relationship with Allah. Recognizing this truth, though challenging, is liberating. It allows the heart to reclaim itself, to heal, and to grow stronger through the very pain that once seemed unbearable. Finally, the spiritual wisdom behind not moving on is that it forces reflection, introspection, and ultimately surrender. Each time your heart resists letting go, it is an invitation to turn inward, to examine your attachments, and to seek refuge in Allah's love. Separation is rarely meaningless. It is a divine opportunity to cleanse the heart, purify intentions, and align desires with the eternal rather than the fleeting. Once the heart accepts this, the path to moving on becomes less about forcing forgetfulness and more about embracing trust, patience, and gratitude for Allah's perfect wisdom. In understanding why we cannot move on, we begin to see the grace behind the pain. Every moment of longing, every tear, and every ache is part of a process that guides us closer to Allah, strengthens our faith, and prepares us for a future full of wisdom, love, and peace. The struggle, while intense, is never wasted because, in the hands of Allah, even heartbreak becomes a source of profound growth and transformation. When the heart feels broken and the weight of loss seems unbearable, Islam offers a roadmap for healing that goes far beyond temporary comfort. Healing is not about pretending pain doesn't exist or quickly moving on. It is about reconnecting with the source of solace, understanding the purpose behind what has happened, and allowing the heart to find peace in submission to Allah's wisdom. The first guiding light Islam offers is patience or sabr. Sabr is not mere endurance. It is a conscious, spiritual stance in the face of difficulty. It is the acknowledgement that Allah knows what is best, even when our hearts are confused and wounded. By practicing sabr, we create space for grief to exist without allowing it to consume our entire being. The second guidance is reflection through prayer and remembrance of Allah Dhikr. The heart is restless when it clings to what has been lost, but turning to Allah in dhikr, reciting Qur'an, and making dua opens a channel for spiritual peace. The Quran repeatedly reminds us that the hearts of the faithful find rest in remembrance of Allah. Verily, in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest. So 13:28. When we consciously replace our attachment to a person or situation with attachment to Allah, we begin to understand that He alone is the ultimate source of comfort, guidance, and love. This spiritual connection gently dissolves the anxiety, emptiness, and fear that keep us bound to our pain. Thirdly, Islam emphasizes letting go with trust or tawakkul. Healing is impossible if the heart resists the natural flow of life and clings to what was never meant to remain. Tawakkul is the art of placing full trust in Allah's plan while taking the necessary steps to care for oneself. It allows the heart to release its grip without guilt or fear, understanding that what Allah has taken away is part of a greater divine wisdom. Every ending, no matter how painful, carries a hidden benefit, a protection from harm, an opportunity for growth, or a path towards something better that our limited vision cannot yet perceive. Another profound guidance is gratitude, or shukr, even in hardship. It may seem impossible to feel grateful when your heart aches. Yet Islam teaches that gratitude shifts perspective and allows the soul to see blessings amidst loss. By consciously acknowledging even small gifts from Allah, we redirect the heart's focus from absence to abundance. This practice does not erase pain but softens its edges, enabling the heart to heal with awareness and acceptance rather than resistance. Finally, Islam encourages community and support, reminding us that while our ultimate healing is spiritual, the human connection matters. Seeking counsel from trusted friends, scholars, or mentors, sharing feelings in safe spaces, and supporting others who face similar trials allows the heart to process emotions constructively. Islam honors vulnerability as a step toward humility, growth, and resilience. By combining spiritual practices with emotional support, the heart gradually finds balance and peace. Through patience, remembrance, trust, gratitude, and meaningful connection, Islam provides a holistic approach to healing. The process may take time, and setbacks are natural, but each moment of surrender strengthens the soul. Healing is not forgetting. It is transforming the pain into wisdom, faith, and spiritual maturity. The heart that once felt lost begins to see the divine wisdom behind every separation and heartbreak. It begins to understand that Allah's plan is perfect, that His love is unfailing, and that every ending is an invitation toward a greater beginning. By following these teachings, moving on becomes not just a possibility, but a spiritual journey. It is a journey in which the heart is refined, faith is deepened, and the soul learns to trust, love, and live fully once again. In Islam, healing is a sacred process. Pain becomes a teacher, loss becomes a guide, and the heart learns that even in absence, Allah's presence is always complete, constant, and deeply comforting. Moving on from someone who has left your life is never easy, yet Islam offers practical steps that honor both your emotional journey and your spiritual growth. The first step is acknowledging your pain without judgment. Often, we try to rush healing by pretending everything is fine or by suppressing emotions. But Islam teaches us that the heart is a sacred trust, and our feelings are part of that trust. By consciously recognizing the hurt, disappointment, or longing you feel, you give yourself permission to process emotions in a healthy, honest way. Suppression only delays healing. Awareness is the beginning of transformation. The second step is limiting attachment to what is gone. This may seem difficult, especially when memories, messages, or shared routines keep pulling you back, but Islam encourages mindful detachment. It is not about bitterness or resentment. It is about gently releasing your grip on what Allah has removed for your protection and growth. Practically, this can mean reducing contact with reminders of the person, avoiding unnecessary comparisons, or redirecting your time and energy towards that nurture your soul and heart. Every small act of detachment is a step toward liberation. Thirdly, Islam emphasizes filling the heart with productive, spiritually uplifting activities. The mind and heart cannot remain empty without attracting more pain. Engage in acts of worship, reflection, and community service. Read Quran with understanding. Make dhikr. Perform dua for yourself and for the one you lost. Engaging in these practices strengthens the connection to Allah and provides a sense of purpose, reminding you that your life is full of meaning beyond this loss. Creativity, learning, and helping others become tools to redirect energy and rediscover joy. The fourth practical step is seeking guidance from trusted mentors or scholars. Sometimes our hearts are too entangled in emotions to see clearly. Speaking to someone wise, empathetic, and knowledgeable can provide clarity, reassurance, and perspective. Islam encourages consultation or shura in all aspects of life, including emotional struggles. Guidance helps distinguish between lingering attachment and true love, between pain that teaches and pain that holds us back. Another crucial step is cultivating self-love through gratitude and reflection. Many of us believe that moving on means forgetting the other person, but true healing starts with nurturing your own heart. Reflect on your blessings, your growth, and your resilience. Keep a journal of lessons learned, prayers answered, and moments of strength. Islam reminds us that the heart that knows its worth in Allah's eyes will not remain chained to pain or regret. Lastly, embrace patience and trust as ongoing companions. Healing is not linear. There will be days of clarity and days of nostalgia. Each time the heart drifts back into longing, return to Allah with gentle awareness and prayer. Remember, moving on is not forgetting. It is choosing to live fully, trusting that Allah's wisdom is guiding every step of your journey. By following these steps, acknowledging pain, mindful detachment, spiritual engagement, seeking guidance, cultivating self-love, and embracing patience, you move on not just physically but spiritually and emotionally. Moving on becomes a sacred act, a form of worship, and a testimony to your trust in Allah. It transforms heartbreak into growth, loss into insight, and emptiness into spiritual fulfillment. Every step you take toward moving on is a step closer to inner peace, understanding, and a heart that can love again, wisely, deeply, and with gratitude. Islam provides not only comfort but a practical roadmap to rise above pain, embrace your journey, and open your heart to new blessings while trusting in Allah's perfect plan. As we come to the close of this reflection, it's important to pause and let the words settle in your heart. The journey of moving on, of releasing someone from your life, is not merely an emotional process, it is a spiritual one. Islam teaches us that every hardship, every feeling of loss, and every moment of longing carries within it the seed of wisdom, mercy, and growth. And now, as you sit with this awareness, take a moment to ask yourself, what has this journey taught you about your heart, your attachment, and your trust in Allah? This is the perfect moment to reflect deeply. Look back at the times when someone left your life, painful as it may have been, and consider the hidden lessons that emerged. Perhaps you discovered resilience you didn't know you had, clarity about what truly matters, or a stronger connection to Allah. Maybe your heart became more sensitive, more compassionate, or more aware of the blessings you had taken for granted. Reflection allows you to transform heartbreak into insight. It turns past pain into future strength. Now, I want to gently encourage you to take this reflection one step further by engaging with this community. Share your story, even in brief, in the comments below. What has Allah removed from your life that in hindsight, turned out to be a mercy. Your story may resonate with someone who feels lost, who is struggling to let go, or who needs a reminder that Allah's wisdom is perfect, even when our hearts cannot yet see it. When you share, you create a space of healing not just for yourself but for others. This is a practical, spiritual, and communal way of moving forward. And while you're reflecting and sharing, consider this. Subscribing to Jannah Essence is more than just pressing a button, it is choosing to surround yourself with gentle reminders, soulful reflections, and guidance that aligns your heart with Allah's wisdom. Each video here is crafted to help you understand your emotional and spiritual journey better, to remind you that you are never alone, and to help you turn your moments of pain into opportunities for growth. Subscribing is a commitment to yourself and to your spiritual well-being. I also invite you to like and share this video with anyone who may need this message today. There is immense reward in sharing reminders that heal hearts and bring people closer to Allah. You never know whose life you might change with a simple click, whose heart you might comfort with a few words, or whose day you might brighten with the gentle guidance of a reminder. Finally, take a quiet moment to make a personal dua. Ask Allah to guide your heart, to heal your wounds, and to replace attachment with understanding, love, and peace. Ask Him to help you recognize the wisdom behind every separation and to trust fully in His divine plan. Remember, the process of moving on is not forgetting, it is choosing to trust Allah while embracing life fully. Every step you take is a step closer to inner peace, clarity, and spiritual growth. So, as we close, I leave you with this thought: your heart is sacred, your emotions are valid, and your trust in Allah is your greatest strength. Let this reflection be a reminder that, while someone may have left your life, Allah has never left your side. Comment your reflections below, share your experiences, and subscribe to join this journey of healing, growth, and spiritual awakening. Because in every ending, there is a beginning, one that Allah has beautifully planned for your heart.